Good morning. As I say, my name is Elwin Underwood and this is my personal experience. There's good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news. I've never spoken in public before and I can't remember what I was going to say, so it might be a good time to go out and have a cup of tea. That is the bad news. But the good news is this. My symptoms first appeared in 1953, which is actually 60 years, almost to the month. Okay? So if I can condense every year into 1 minute, my speech will only take an hour, by which time you could have had lunch, couldn't you? Anyway, I'll start with the facts. If I can read them, I can't see anything here. At the age of 17, I began to feel discomforts in my right knee joint. I saw the doctor several times and was treated for various muscular complaints. The pain was no more than a dull ache. And then I went to watch motor car racing at Brands Hatch and had to walk several miles. The next day, my thigh had swollen up and I was in pain. I was seeing the doctor, I got x-rayed, which immediately showed an osteosarcoma of the thigh bone. The doctor, surgeon, wanted to amputate my limb that day, but my mother wanted a second opinion. So I was sent up to Westminster Hospital to see Sir Stanford Cade, who at the time was probably the top man in the world. Okay? Now I was only sent up there because I was disposable, you know what I mean? You know, they could do what they liked to me. And so I started having radiotherapy, right? And of course, radiotherapy at that time was very, very new. Nobody knew really what the safe limits were. And of course, at that time, chemotherapy hadn't been invented, CAT scans hadn't been invented, and bone surgery had not been invented, you know what I mean? So it was just a question of radiotherapy or nothing, right? Now, because as I said, nobody knew the safe levels, so I just had colossal lumps. And so that was a good thing, because when I blew a 60-watt bulb, I was all right. But when I reached 100 watts, they knew they had overdone it for a few days. You know. Anyway, after 3 months, the tumour had shrunk a little bit, and I was sent home. I continued having monthly X-rays, but after 6 months, when there was no sign that the cancer had spread, they decided to amputate my limb. Because the tumour was halfway up my femur, sorry. It was amputated at the hip joint. At the time, it was thought that my treatment was a breakthrough of this cancer, and I went to several seminars as an exhibit. So they were. And I understand that book was produced, which is probably in some library or other, you know, with all the gory details of my treatments. Then anyway, I continued having X-rays, regular chest X-rays, first at 3 months, and then later at sort of 6 months and so on. And I continued having checkups at the Charing Cross Hospital, eventually every year, and because at that time, working class people did not own cars, so a day up to London took a whole day, and it took quite a lot of money, you know. But somehow or other, my instinct told me I had to have chest X-rays. And then the word was that if I lasted 10 years, I'd be all right. But on the 10th anniversary, there was a spot seen on my lung, and it was about 1 millimetre in diameter. Okay? 1 millimetre, you know. And it was then decided to operate on, and it was operated by the same person that operated on King George VI when he had cancer, you see. But, you know, but of course, since mine was a little spot, it was just a question of removing a little lump. And anyway, I continued having chest X-rays at the Charing Cross Hospital for 58 years. And after 58 years, they said, you don't need to come anymore. That probably means I'm cured, doesn't it? I'm cured after 58 years. You know, so, but, you know, I mean, I'm on now, the thing you might not, how has to be time going on? The thing you might not realise is that I have continued suffering phantom pain. Now that's different to phantom limb. Phantom limb is a sensation is there that you've never lost your limb in the first place. You see, you feel your toes, etc. The phantom pain is pain, and it starts off as a little tickle, you know, in one particular part, your toe, your knee, the side, your ankle, little pain. And then 20 seconds later, it comes back, but it's a little bit worse. Then a little bit worse than that. And then you go, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then you go, ah, ah, ah. And then if you don't do anything about it, you'll start screaming. Okay? So the answer, of course, is painkillers. You take something with a little bit of opium or, you know. That's when I became a drug addict. I mean, this happens about every 10 to 20 days, and it's absolutely at random. There's nothing logical about it at all, you know. And you've got to take painkillers to kill it. And the point about it is, it comes, it twinge, you get a twinge, then there's nothing. There's no pain at all, you see, until the next 20 seconds when it comes back again, you know. It's like going round in a circle. And it's supposed to be cured, and there doesn't seem to be any treatment for it. Anyway, and, you know, so I eventually had an artificial limb, or I had an artificial limb fitted, and I never had any difficulty walking, mostly because I'm actually a natural science mechanic, you know, scientist. So whenever I had a limb, I knew exactly what to have done to it to make it, you know, workable, you know. I often argued with the fitters and saying, you know, they would do something, I said, no, that's not right, let's do this. They said, no, you'll never do that, it'll never work. And I said, just do it to please me. And we'll do it. I said, all right, then, thank you much, goodbye, I'll see you in sort of 6 months' time, you know. But I put that down to the fact that I you know, sort of, I understand mechanics, and sort of walking is a question of calculating every step you take, you know. And unfortunately, my good knee has begun to give up after 6 years, you know, 60 years, and so I'm not walking nearly as well as I used to do. So make that allowance, you know. Now, I've always thought myself as practical and logical, but I never ever needed to ask the doctors what my chances were of survival. You know, I always accepted they would do the best for me, and it might seem strange that I never wanted to know, but I've got a motto that says, bad news can wait till tomorrow. You know, I can't see the point in knowing today what can wait till tomorrow. You know, so I adopted that throughout my sort of thing. I've seen off 3 consultants. The last one, Dr. Hannon, was a lovely man, you know. He was the best man, very, very kind. And the fact was that I go up there and say I sneeze, and he would say, oh, you better go and see James. And I'll see James tomorrow, you know, not in 6 months' time. And then the next day the next time, I might have a diarrhea, you see Charles, you know. And so I had my own private health service, you know. only because they just wanted to keep me going. And of course, the thing about it was, I would go on to the clinic every year, and then the sort of the staff, they're all over the moon to see me, you know. Because, you know, the registrars, you know, couldn't believe that they would see someone that survived like I had survived, you know. Anyway, you would think that I had enough cancer, but after 25 years, my wife developed cancer of the esophagus. I managed to get her up to the Westminster Hospital. She had a major operation, but it didn't work out. She died of chemotherapy, you see, you know. But there again, that's just the way it goes. I've got to say this, that I don't know what advice to give you. I just don't miss your appointment, your checkups. I'm just saying, don't give up hope, but my best advice is to be lucky.